Modern women can't hide from this truth anymore. But strangely, most people avoid talking about it. And that's exactly why you're here. Because you've lived long enough to see generations change, values shift, and the way men and women relate to each other transform into something unrecognizable. Many men quietly feel the same thing you may have felt yourself. Something is different about modern women, and everyone pretends not to see it. Today we're going to walk through that truth calmly, respectfully, and with real psychological insight. By the end of this video, you'll understand why modern women behave the way they do, why so many men are stepping back, and why none of this is accidental. It's the result of cultural, emotional, and generational forces that have been building for decades. Before we go deeper, let me start with a simple observation. Throughout history, men and women needed each other to survive. They depended on each other emotionally, financially, and socially. This mutual dependence created strong families and stable relationships. But modern society changed the equation. Women gained more freedom, more independence, more opportunity, and that is genuinely a good thing. But psychology shows something important. Whenever someone gains more options, they also gain more confusion. Barry Schwartz, in his book The Paradox of Choice, explains that the more choices a person has, the less satisfied they become. And this applies directly to relationships today. Many modern women have more options than any generation before them, but more emotional dissatisfaction than any generation before them. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Modern women can't hide from anymore. Freedom gave them choices, but choices didn't give them fulfillment. That's the part nobody wants to talk about. You see it reflected everywhere, online, in conversations, on social media, even in personal stories men share. Many women spent decades believing that a great life meant independence, success, adventure, or attention. They still want companionship. They still desire love. But when a culture tells you to prioritize yourself above all else, those deep needs get buried, not gone, just suppressed. This suppression is exactly why so many women today feel anxious, restless, or unfulfilled, even when their lives look successful from the outside. A study from the American Journal of Sociology reported that modern women experience historically high levels of unhappiness despite having more freedoms and opportunities than previous generations. Meaning, something isn't adding up, and men are noticing. Not out of judgment, but out of concern, and, in many cases, quiet resignation. Because here's something you've probably seen. Women today want the benefits of a relationship, but not the responsibilities. They want emotional support, but struggle to offer it back. They want loyalty, but fear commitment. They want partnership, but expect the man to carry most of the weight. You've seen women who want the title of independent, but still expect men to pay for dates. You've seen women who say they want a good man, but treat good men like backups while pursuing excitement instead of stability. Again, this isn't about blaming anyone. It's about understanding psychology. Dr. John Gray, author of the famous book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, explains that modern dynamics have pushed men and women away from their natural strengths. Men thrive when they feel needed, respected, and valued. Women thrive when they feel supported, secure, and appreciated. But what happens when a culture teaches women they don't need anyone? It blocks the very emotional exchange that relationships depend on. Imagine a man who spent 40 years being a provider, a protector, a partner, only for modern women to suddenly say, "We don't need that anymore." Many men responded the only way they could, by stepping back. Not angrily, not out of bitterness, but simply because human nature makes it impossible to give what isn't accepted. You can't protect someone who doesn't want protection. You can't provide for someone who insists she doesn't need anything. You can't build with someone who wants all the benefits without any of the sacrifices. The truth modern women can't hide from anymore is that the modern mindset came with a hidden cost. And the cost is connection. The cost is partnership. The cost is long-term happiness. Many women thought modern life would make relationships easier, but it actually made them harder. And here's the part that hits the deepest. Men didn't change. Expectations changed. Attitudes changed. The value placed on relationships changed. And now, the results are showing. More women are single than ever. More women are unhappy than ever. More women feel lost about dating, relationships, and marriage than ever. Meanwhile, many men, especially older men, have quietly found peace. not because they don't want companionship, but because they've realized they can force a relationship with someone who's fighting her own emotional battles. A man who has lived through real life, work, responsibility, struggle, family, sees patterns younger men miss. He sees the difference between a woman who wants a partner and a woman who wants validation. He sees the difference between a woman ready for a peaceful life and one chasing excitement and attention. And modern women are realizing something difficult. The men they ignored, dismissed, or underestimated are the same men who now no longer pursue them. This shift isn't spite, it's self-preservation. A lot of men today simply want peace. And modern relationships, shaped by unrealistic expectations, entitlement, and emotional inconsistency, don't always offer peace. Doesn't mean all women are the same. Many women still value love, loyalty, commitment, and partnership. But culturally, the message is clear. Women were taught to prioritize independence over intimacy, and now they're discovering that independence without connection feels empty. As we move into the second half of this video, we're going to explore the core reasons behind this shift, the psychological patterns driving modern behavior, and the surprising new reality both men and women are facing. Because once you see these patterns clearly, everything makes sense. Explain what happens next, because the story isn't just about women changing, it's about men responding. And the truth is, men are waking up in a way society never expected. For years, the narrative revolved around men needing to step up, improve, or try harder. But now the roles are reversing. Modern women are discovering that men aren't chasing anymore. They aren't tolerating emotional chaos. They aren't committing to people who don't want to commit back. Instead, men, especially older men, are choosing something radically simple. Peace. Peace has become the most valuable currency in a man's life. After decades of working, raising families, and surviving life's challenges, peace becomes more precious than romance, more important than attention, and more satisfying than validation. Modern women, however, were raised in a culture that told them excitement is the key to happiness. But as Dr. Meg Jay explains in her book, The Defining Decade, chasing excitement rarely leads to long-term fulfillment. This creates a major disconnect. Women seek stimulation, while men seek stability. For years, this mismatch was hidden by the structure of society. But now, with social media, dating apps, and changing values, it has become impossible to ignore. When women chase excitement, they often overlook the men who offer consistency. They pass on emotionally stable men for temporary thrills. But thrill-seeking only works when you're young. As time passes, women realize that the qualities they once ignored are the same qualities they now desperately want. But by that point, men have changed too. Many men who spent years being patient, loyal, and dependable eventually reached a quiet realization, I deserve peace too. And once a man truly feels that, once he experiences peace in his own company, everything changes. He becomes less reactive, less desperate, less willing to compromise his emotional well-being. He learns that solitude is not loneliness, it's clarity, it's strength, it's healing. A peaceful man is harder to manipulate, harder to guilt-trip, harder to pressure. And this is exactly why modern women are struggling. They can't use old tactics on a man who has found inner calm. One of the biggest things modern women never expected is this: when men stop chasing, the entire relationship dynamic shifts. The power becomes balanced, boundaries become clearer, expectations become healthier. But most importantly, the man gains emotional control. That shift is intimidating for women who are used to being pursued. Psychologists call this dependency reversal. When the person who once expected validation now seeks it instead. We see this pattern everywhere today. Women who once rejected good men now reach out years later. Women who once valued attention now crave stability. Women who once dismissed commitment now want security. But men aren't the same anymore. Many men have learned through experience that chasing someone who isn't emotionally ready is a losing game. That giving too much too soon leads to resentment. That overinvesting in someone who underinvests in you creates imbalance. And maturity teaches men that imbalance destroys peace. Here's the most surprising truth modern women can't hide from. Men today want emotional partnership, not emotional labor. Men don't want to raise adults. They don't want to fix attitudes. They don't want to carry the burden of someone who refuses to grow. At this stage in life, men want a companion, not a project. And this is where older men in particular have a major advantage. They've lived enough life to recognize red flags early. They don't get fooled by surface-level charm. They don't confuse confidence with character. They don't mistake attention for affection. Men over 50 or 60 also understand something younger men don't. The easiest relationship is the one where both people bring peace, not drama. That's why many men today are walking away, not because they hate women, but because they're tired. Tired of being blamed. Tired of mixed signals. Tired of expectations that are never reciprocated. Tired of emotional games. Tired of feeling like they must earn the basic respect that used to be natural in relationships. Respect is the foundation of everything. Dr. Emerson Eggerichs, author of Love, Respect, explains that a man's emotional oxygen is respect. When a man feels respected, he becomes more loving, more giving, more patient. But when he feels disrespected, dismissed, or unneeded, he withdraws. Many modern women unknowingly trigger that withdrawal, not out of malice, but because they were taught to value independence over partnership. In doing so, they often communicate, "I don't need you," even if they don't mean it. But here's the twist. When a woman tells a man she doesn't need him, she loses the version of him she would have needed the most. A supportive man, a loyal man, a stable man, a patient man, a man who would have walked through fire for her. Once a man feels unneeded, he shifts from pursuing to observing. He stops offering emotional support automatically. He becomes selective, not because he's cold, but because he finally understands the cost of giving too much to the wrong person. And that's why so many men today appear distant or detached. They aren't angry, they're cautious, they aren't cold, they're protecting themselves. And many modern women for the first time are realizing that men are no longer willing to accept disrespect or imbalance. This is the truth they can't hide from anymore. Men have options too. Men have self-respect too. Men have emotional needs too. And men finally understand their own value. So what happens next? The future of relationships is shifting in a direction that favors maturity, peace, and emotional intelligence. Men who stay calm, grounded, self-respecting, and peaceful become the rarest men in society, and therefore the most attractive. Women will increasingly gravitate toward men who bring stability, not excitement, toward men who offer wisdom, not drama, toward men who create safety, not chaos. But only the women who are ready to face the truth will benefit from this new dynamic. And the truth is this: relationships today require surrendering the ego, not strengthening it. They require teamwork, not independence. They require accountability, not entitlement. And for many modern women, that realization is coming too late. The men they overlooked have moved on. The men they dismissed have improved themselves. The men they ignored have found peace in solitude. As a man watching this, you may have felt these shifts in your own life. You may have noticed how peaceful you feel alone compared to the drama of modern relationships. That peace isn't weakness, it's evolution. It's clarity. It's your spirit choosing what's healthy over what's familiar. And that peace is exactly why the future belongs to men who understand themselves, respect themselves, and protect their emotional world. Modern women can't hide from this truth anymore. The era of men chasing blindly is over. The era of mutual respect is beginning. And only those who adjust will find real happiness. Because at the end of the day, love isn't about independence or dominance. It's about choosing each other with openness, humility, and peace.